Zambia is a country that's progressing and developing every single day, like every other African country. There's infrastructure coming up everywhere you look. There's more schools available today than ever before. And development is reaching the most rural places you can think of. And all while this happens, one group of people keeps falling further and further behind because no one is thinking about them. People with intellectual disabilities are like a complex mystery that society can't be bothered to figure out, or a puzzle that we don't care to solve, so we just choose to ignore them. We take that puzzle, we stash it in a corner of the house that we don't visit often, and eventually we forget it's even there. I would like to stand here today and tell you exactly how many people with intellectual disabilities are being neglected, show you some nice slides on all of that. But Zambia doesn't even have statistics on people with intellectual disabilities. They don't count, so they're not even counted. Just think about that for a second. Imagine not being part of the equation at all. Imagine going through your life with people not even knowing that you exist. Just try to imagine the kind of life that comes with that level of invisibility. I have a younger brother with an intellectual disability, Down syndrome to be specific. And he's opened up my eyes to just how flawed our society is. We grew up in the same house, under the exact same circumstances, but I was the only one that got to go to a good school. I was the only one that got to play with other kids in the neighborhood, get a good job, and essentially have a life. And as we grew older, I wondered and I worried about what the rest of his life looked like. There I was, progressing in my career, moving out of our parents' house, buying my first car. And when I stopped to look back, there was my brother falling further and further behind me. And I couldn't live with it. So I decided to start the Sunny Foundation to give him and other young people with intellectual disabilities a chance to also have a life. And what we do is we provide young adults with intellectual disabilities with the relevant and holistic education and training that they need in order to get jobs, but also to live independently as adults. And when I talk about relevant, I mean we focus on the fundamental skills that they need in order to function as adults in society. These are reading, writing, math skills, how to use money, how to take care of yourself. And I guess we try to leave out the algebra and the organic chemistry because I guess I'm still struggling to see how that's relevant to my current life. And when I say holistic, what I mean is we don't focus on academic and vocational training. We look at the whole human being. What is it that they need in order to work and to live independently? If that's communication, if that's behavior, if that's personal hygiene, we will provide that support. For people without intellectual disabilities, these are skills we sort of pick up as we go along, by observing people, by understanding social norms. I personally, for the many people that know me here, I don't have a lot of social graces. And I feel like some people would go as far as saying I'm socially awkward. But put me in a professional setting, or put me in a specific social setting, and I can adapt. I can rise to the occasion. But for some people with intellectual disabilities, that doesn't come naturally. It has to be deliberately taught. And that's part of the support that we provide. And beyond that support, we support them to find jobs in the open labor market. These are jobs that they want in everyday companies working alongside people without disabilities. And I'll tell you quite specifically about Diana, who we've been working with for about 2 years now. When we met her, she said to us, well, I want to cook. She didn't know how to, but she loved to be in the kitchen. She loved to watch other people cook. And quite frankly, Diana really liked to eat. So we said, okay, and we got to work. We trained her, we supported her, and eventually she got an internship as a kitchen assistant at an organization. Now, when you think about this, this is somebody who has no academic qualifications whatsoever. They have no paperwork to speak of, no work experience, and essentially no CV. So this company just had to take our word for it that she could do the job, and they took a leap of faith with her. And a couple months later, they came back to us and they said, well, we think she's fantastic. We want to hire her, we want to pay her. And they did. And Diana got her first job. Today, Diana works in a Subway restaurant and is contributing an income to her family in Matero. And our work is changing the narrative, really. People with intellectual disabilities are no longer beneficiaries that are deserving of sympathy and charity. They're now hardworking and dependable employees. They are coworkers and friends that you sit and have a laugh with. They're active and contributing citizens. Lots of research has shown that employees with disabilities have better attendance and retention records than employees without disabilities. Companies that hire people with disabilities are more innovative. They are open to fresh perspectives, and they have access to new markets. So when you think about it, it isn't just that inclusion is the right thing to do, which it definitely is, but it also makes business and economic sense. So why isn't it already happening? Why isn't it already happening? Well, because exclusion is a really difficult problem to solve. It has a life of its own. It's this living organism that we've created over decades, and it feeds off of fear and misinformation and most of all, ignorance. It's really easy to sit back and think, oh, those poor people, to sympathize with people with disabilities. Those poor people, the government should do more for them. Or we really need more organizations like this, supporting them. What's really hard to do? What is really, really hard to do is to empathize, to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And that's what I'm asking you to do today. And you're wondering, how can I put myself in someone's shoes if I myself don't have a disability? Well, in doing my work and in talking to people about my work, I realized that nearly everyone I meet knows someone with a disability. This could be an extended relative, the neighbor's son, someone from church, or someone you drive past on your way to work every morning. Nearly everyone knows someone with a disability. And yet, no one seems to know very much about disability. It's not a topic we even talk about. So what I'm challenging you to do today is to get to know someone with a disability. Educate yourself. And when I say get to know someone with a disability, I mean really get to know someone. Hear their stories. Try to gain an understanding of their realities. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just my journey. This is not just Sunny Foundation's journey. Creating an inclusive society is going to take each and every one of us. Don't for one second think, let's leave this up to the professionals, the people working full-time on this issue, because it's too complex. Each and every one of us plays a role in the current system as it is, knowingly or unknowingly. So a good starting point is to become aware of how you could personally be contributing to the problem. This could be in the way you behave when you meet someone with a disability, how you maybe cringe or look uncomfortable when you're around someone with a disability. It could be in the language that we're using, dehumanizing language that has become the social norm. Words like retarded that are in all of our vocabularies. You know, there's so many times you hear someone say, oh, I forgot to send you that email. I'm such a retard. You've heard people say this, right? And we convince ourselves that it's not offensive if I'm not saying it to someone with an intellectual disability. What if I wrap it in my great sense of humor, but we need to start to create a more empathetic and understanding society. Let's not for one second leave anyone behind because they're too difficult to serve or too hard to reach. Diana and the many young people that we work with, they want what we all want. They want a chance to have an identity, to have a sense of responsibility, to belong. The current system has failed them, not because they're not good enough for the system, but because the current system isn't good enough for them. And we need to change that. The only way that we can change that is together, if we all play our part. Thank you very much.